Hello, artist! Today we are going to use the studio habit of mind called Understand Art Worlds so that we can look closely at and understand the artist's message in a mural. Murals are large artworks made on a wall or the side of a building. To best understand the artwork and the artist's message, we need to know what was happening in the United States and the world when the mural was created. In May of 2020, there were protests in Madison and Sun Prairie. During this time in May, schools were closed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. What is a protest? A protest is when people take action to show they do not agree with something. In Madison, Sun Prairie, all over the United States, and even all over the world, many people peacefully protested in the streets to show their anger and sadness about how racism unfairly affects Black people. Specifically, protesters were bringing attention to the mistreatment of Black people by the police, who are supposed to protect and serve all people. These protests were led by supporters of a movement called Black Lives Matter. You may have seen the protests on TV or even went to a protest with your family. So what happened? On May 25th, 2020, Derek Chauvin, a Minneapolis police officer, arrested a Black man named George Floyd. During the arrest, the police officer used excessive force in restraining George Floyd. George Floyd died as a result of this action. The police officer was found guilty in a court trial. What is Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter is a movement of people protesting against police brutality and all violence against Black people because of their race and color of their skin. After George Floyd was killed, more people started showing their support for the Black Lives Matter movement. Black Lives Matter is about much more than George Floyd. You may have heard other names in the news too, such as Breonna Taylor, Philando Castile, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Daunte Wright, and many more people. Of course, all lives matter. The movement is called Black Lives Matter because it acknowledges that the Black community in the United States has suffered injustice and racism for a very long time. Black lives deserve care and support just as all lives do. Black Lives Matter does not only support Black people, but all people of color who have been marginalized in our society. People reacted in many ways and had many strong feelings about the death of George Floyd, the actions of the police officer, and the Black Lives Matter protests. People can have different feelings and opinions about things happening in the world and be okay. Artists have opinions about these topics too. Artists express their ideas, feelings, and opinions through their art. Many of the murals created at this time express ideas and feelings about power, voice, strength, and hope. During the protests that took place here in Madison and Sun Prairie, many artists created murals to express their feelings. These murals were created in the windows of local businesses and were viewable to anybody in the public. Rather than going to a gallery or a museum to see the artwork, you could take a walk down State Street and see the murals. This is called public art. Today we will take a closer look at a mural painted on State Street in Madison. We will have a short discussion about the power of this artwork and make connections to our own art making.